Hello, and in last video we already talked about how we can create design matrix of the given data set, means input data set. So for each x we just created this matrix which is having number of rows and the number of columns would be order of the polynomial which we are trying to create. So we already developed this functionality, we already checked it. Now it's time to develop a functionality to create matrix of unknown coefficient, means w, by using this design matrix. So agenda of this video is to implement this functionality. So the very first thing we need to do, we need to you know uh, get out transpose of this matrix. As you can see here, we are talking about transpose of it, and then after getting transpose we need to find out the dot product of the transpose of the matrix and the design matrix itself, as you can see right now here, right now, right. And once we are ready with this thing, we need to get out inverse of the output of this dot product, as you can see, because we have -1 which is actually saying inverse of the dot product of this thing. Once we are getting this inverse of this thing, we need to again find out dot product of the inverse of the thing and the design matrix transpose as well. So as you can see right now here, this is what we need to do, right? After we are ready with this transpose and the dot product of inverse of the multiplication dot product of the things, we need to get out again the dot product of this whole statement and the t itself. So what this t is, so again go back, we have training data set. In training data set we have x, means input training data point, and the output training data point. So this t1, t2, t3 and tn, this is actually t which we are actually talking about here in this statement getting w. So we need to use that t, matrix of t, here while deciding this unknown matrix of unknown coefficients, right? So this is what we need to do in this video. So this is the functionality we need to create. Let's do it in Python. Let's name it matrix of unknown coefficient of polymetric regression, polynomial regression. So let's name the method, which is def, and let's call it w, simple w, capital W I mean. And what we need to pass here, we need to pass only the design matrix, because this is what we need here. Right now we are actually playing with the design matrix only, design matrix and t, let's call it t, right? So we need to find design matrix, let's call it design matrix, and then out train, which is t, let's call it t, capital T, right? We cannot name it capital T because capital T we already used here, so this would be a confusion. Let's call it output training data set output. So the very first thing we need to do is that we need to get out, let's call it WML. And very first thing we need to do, we need to get out transpose of this design matrix, means the design matrix which we are giving to this method, we need to get out transpose. So how we can get transpose of a matrix? np.transpose, we have a method in numpy, and we need to pass only the matrix for which we wanted to find out transpose. So just pass it here. We are ready with this transpose only. Now we need to find out dot product of the transpose, the design matrix itself. How we can do it? So this is the transpose. Let's cut it. We need to find out dot product. So np dot, we have a method which is called dot, and we need to pass matrices for which we wanted to find out dot product. So pass transpose, because we are having transpose here, and the setting in matrix is design matrix itself. So let's pass design matrix here. We are ready. Now it's time to find out inverse of this thing, means this whole thing. Let's cut it. We have another method in numpy, np dot linalg dot inf. This is what return us the inverse of a matrix. And what is the matrix? So this whole thing is a matrix for us, for which we want to find out inverse. And what it was, the thing which we have already cut in last step. So we are ready with this thing, means we are already having inverse of the thing. Now it's time to find out dot product of this thing, transpose of the matrix itself. Let's cut it. We want to find dot product. So np dot, and what would be the dot product? First thing would be the thing which is returning us inverse of this whole thing. We are already implemented this thing. This is the first thing which is returning us inverse of this whole thing. Second would be the transpose of the design matrix itself. Again np dot transpose design matrix. Just pass design matrix here, right? We are ready with this implementation till now. Now it's time to find out dot product of this thing and t, right? Let's cut it, because we need to find out dot product of the whole thing. So np dot, right, and pass first thing, which is the whole thing, this dot product of this whole thing right now. Just pass it, right? And second element would be t, right? So what is the t? We have already defined that we will find out this train t from the method itself, right? You just pass t here. So this way we are already implemented the whole thing. This logic is already implemented. Now we need to just return wml, right? This is what we need to do. So let's do one thing. We have design matrix. Last step, just cut it because we need to pass this design matrix into this method. Let's create one more, training data set, just test training. We have already passed into this design matrix. We need to pass train x, right, and order. So this is the train x and this is the order we are already passing into this method, and as the output it is actually returning us some design matrix, right? Now we need to test this method, and for this method we need to pass design matrix and the train out, and the dimension of design matrix and train out would be exactly same. So we are having this array, and which this array is holding 5 elements. In the same way we will create a train out matrix. Let's call it test train, and what it will be np dot array, because this is how we can create array, and just pass some output matrix, which is 3, for example 2, 6, 8 and 1. So by performing these steps, which we are actually testing our method which we have created here, the functionality which we have created, right? So we are already ready with the test, means this argument of the method and train out this argument of the method, and we will try out how this function is performing. So just pass these two variable value into this method. Let's call it w test, and what would be, it would be w, and we need to pass two methods. One is design matrix, so let's call this is the design matrix we have, and next thing the test train, right? And let's pass it here. Select all the lines and click F9 to the method, and what we are getting, we will be getting number of, we are ready with the test design matrix, means this thing, test design matrix. This matrix is having 5 different columns and 5 different rows, the same thing which we have implemented, because m is the order of the all order of the polynomial, and this much number of the columns we will get, and 5 are the rows. So for each row we have created this design and this test. Now it's time to just click here and click F9. We are ready with the w test and what it is. So this is the w matrix of unknown coefficient. So it's time to go ahead and implement the next functionality. I'm really happy for you. You are learning this coding and fundamental of machine learning at the same time. So thank you so much for watching this. I will see you in next video.